Hello, my Astro family. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and these are your 2020 yearly horoscopes. Thank you for choosing me to lead you through this year, and I'll try to be as comprehensive and as interesting as possible. And 2020, this is an intro for all the signs, and basically, I want to tell you what you have to prepare in order to get the most out of those horoscopes. As you know, if you've known me from before, we don't only look at the sun sign. Everyone knows I'm a Libra because I'm born in October, I'm an Aries because I'm born in April. Well, this is just your sun sign. But actually, there are way more personal signs, those of the ascendant, which change every 2.5 hours, and those of your moon sign, which changes every 2.5 days. So I would like you to check your 2020 horoscope, starting with the ascendant sign, the moon sign, and then the sun sign. They are all those horoscopes are good for the three signs. And some of you might have the same sun and moon sign, or ascendant and moon, or whatever, but most people usually have the sun, moon, and ascendant in different signs. And the order of importance is always the ascendant, after that the moon, especially for women or people born at night, and the sun, especially for men and people born during the day. So, how do you find out what your ascendant, sun, and moon is? Very easy. You need to know your time of birth. If you don't know your time of birth, then listen to your sun sign only. But maybe you can be able to find the moon sign as well. But those of you who know your time of birth, I'll share my screen with you so you see what to do, how to calculate it. You just need to go to my website, astrolada.com, and go to this here, to the free birth chart and transits. And then enter your details here. Oops, waiting for it to load up. So write your name, I'll write mine, but I'll put some other, I'm not gonna put my details. Write the minute, the hour, let's say New York. Continue. Then you can select here which New York is it. Let's say it's somewhere in New York Hospital, whatever. And continue, and you will see the chart. Here it is. Sorry, it's taking a little bit longer to chart. Oops. This is a chart. All you have to look here is at the planetary details. You see? And only the first three, where it's abbreviated, ascendant, sun, and moon. I want you to mark down the degree basically of your ascendant, sun, and moon, and the sign. You don't need to listen to you don't need to write down the second, like 8 minutes, 8 degrees and 11 minutes. Just remember, for example, that this person has 8 degrees in Libra ascendant, sun at 15 degrees Virgo, and moon at 27 degrees Scorpio. And then check, because I use specific degrees, because all the planets don't influence us all the time. Some, for example, will be influenced only, some planets will influence only 4 or 5 degrees from Scorpio. And I want you to listen. When I start giving degrees, they'll be written on the screen. I want you to pay attention and check, oh, is this my degree? If your moon is in Scorpio, for example, your ascendant or sun or moon, and this is how we're going to go through it. And you're going to get a lot more, way more in depth, way more specific than any general yearly horoscopes. And that's how we're going to make astrology more real, not just popular magazine astrology. This is more, it goes towards how proper astrologers work. And before I start with each of the signs, I just want you to join me in a little prayer for this year 2020, to bless it, to collectively join our energies. Dear angels, dear Father, Mother, Creator of the universe, thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you for giving us this amazing art, astrology. Thank you for allowing us to peek into your thoughts, to peek into your plans for us for the future. You're so gracious and loving, dear Creator, dear God, dear Mother. You're so gracious to give us those signs, those signatures, so we can prepare, so we can know what your will is. Help us live according to your divine will in 2020. If there are any challenges for some of us ahead, help us accept them with dignity. Help us transform the qualities in us that bring on those challenges. Or if it's something karmic that we have to bear, help us accept it with humbleness. For those of us that have good moments ahead, Those of us that divine blessings will be poured, help us stay humble, help us stay grateful, and help us develop more love for each other and for humanity and for God, so we don't become too proudful. Help us, you, this year 2020, touch our hearts, whether through challenges or whether, and both will exist, challenges or positive developments for all of us. Let them all lead us to more love and connection with your divine presence. Amen. Aries 2020. Wow. Guys, if you're sun, moon, or rising Aries, this will be a year to remember. I don't know if I should be honored that I'm also Aries sun or a bit scared, but this will be one of the most dynamic years for Aries since 1988. And a lot of you were probably not even born then. Because we're gonna have for the first time in 32 years Mars, the ruler of Aries, retrograde in our own sign, in its own sign in Aries, which means Mars will stay there the whole time from July till the end of the year. This will be tremendous. We'll be called to become more Aries than we've ever been, to live up to our Aries nature. So the second part of the year will be so dynamic for us. The second part of the year will be birthing of a new us. Will be like the seeding of a new personality, of a new direction in life for Aries, but we'll get to there a bit later. Let me start first with the other planets. I always like to start, the second part of the year is the crazy and exciting one, a little bit also that I have to warn you about some things, but let's go step by step. I always want to see first the general influences for the whole year. And I always love to start with Saturn. Saturn is the slowest moving from the visible planets that are responsible for visible material changes in life. There are also planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they're invisible, they create more psychological shifts in us and they influence a much smaller number of people. But for all Aries, sun, moon, or rising, Saturn will be Saturn is like the fate, the planet of fate. Wherever it goes, it's very kind of events happen that are fated, that imminent, so to speak. And Saturn, the whole 2020, will be some part of it in our 10th house here in Capricorn and some part of it in Aquarius. So it starts still being in Capricorn. It's been there for the last 2 years for Aries. And it's there till March 21st, till the start of spring. And then it moves into Aquarius for about a couple of months or 2, 3 months till the start of July. And it's going to move back again into Capricorn. So we have to speak about Capricorn, Saturn being in both the 10th and 11th houses of Aries. So if you're Aries, you see this is the first house. Saturn has been passing for the last 2 years in our 10th house here on the top. You see on the top of the chart, the most visible part of the horoscope, which is connected to worldly responsibilities and duties. It is connected to our profession, to our vocation, to our reputation. And wherever Saturn is, and you've noticed it already in the past 2 years, it usually brings more responsibilities. And they're responsibilities that are kind of sometimes we often don't even want to take them because they feel like a burden sometimes. So it's like, oh, so much work, so many duties, responsibilities towards a career or towards some project. And if you work for someone, if you have a boss above you, this is the 10th house. So maybe in the past 2 years at some point, definitely, and on and off to 2020, as I said, till March, and then back again from July till the middle of December, you would still feel those themes of Saturn. Which is, for example, if you have a boss, you probably notice that they're very demanding boss authority figures around you in the past 2 years and part of 2020. But you're already so used to living with this energy. It's been 2 years, so it's not going to be so hard. It's kind of like the last phase of it. You're wrapping up maybe in 2020 some career projects. You're maybe putting the final touches and you have to go back, revisit them from the summer, from July till December, and then you move fully into the other area where Saturn brings different type of lessons. But the lessons for us Aries have been basically to structure our career better in the past 2 years and part of 2020, because the 10th house is the structure of your work, how well organized it is, how efficient it is. So for example, many people who have their own businesses and are Aries have been saying already that they've been doing structural changes to their business to be more efficient, to work smart, not hard. But while they're doing that, they have to work very hard. They have to, while they have to go through to simplify their work process. While they have to streamline it. Saturn likes to simplify, to streamline, to make more realistic, more easy to operate, more simplistic as well. Saturn is a simple planet that wants to strip things down to the bare minimum, to what is most necessary. So Saturn has been doing this with your career. So maybe some of you left careers and jobs in the past 2 years because they were not, they've played their role already in your life. Some of you started restructuring their approach to their work, and this continues for another year, the structures of career, of business. But Saturn also tends to delay things, whatever it is, so it can slow them down. So some of you might have felt, and it will continue on and off in 2020, that certain work projects required extra efforts, that they required going over and over. Saturn likes to repeat something over and over. So there were repeated lessons in regards to your career, in regards to your worldly responsibilities. Often brings duties that are very repetitive, over and over and over, and males and Aries definitely have felt that. But usually this is the time to routinize those things. So after that, they don't feel as such pressure when Saturn moves from this 10th house. So they become kind of, routinized. They become so ingrained in you that they no longer feel difficult. But while it's happening, and part of 2020 is that you can feel yourself that things have slowed down, that you're trying to do certain project or work, or that things are not moving as fast as you want them to. Saturn slows down the area that it passes through, which means like career projects, some structural changes that you're doing, or career progress that you're trying to do. First brings more responsibility, second slows it down, but it is so it's like slowing down the movie frame by frame, so you can concentrate your energy. You can see where you're making mistakes. Saturn is the planet of correcting things that have gone wrong. Saturn is the tough taskmaster, the tough teacher. So it slows down and says, okay, redo the homework. But it's all connected to career, to reputation, to your worldly responsibilities, to your where you want to stay in society. So you're working on those things to eliminate the ones that are slowing you down, the ones that just have outlived their use in your life, but also to slow you down a little bit there, so you can see more, to see, you can delay things, block things, create problems in career. So then you slow down and you can see where you're doing things wrong, where, what are you not, Saturn wants is a quality master. It's not quantity. Saturn does not like quantity. Saturn wants to chop off quantity. So if you've been taking, if you're doing too many things, Saturn wants to make them less, but more, wants to get the kernel of the work or worldly responsibility that you have and focus on them, and see that other things are just wasting your time, taking from your energy, Saturn makes you aware where you are spilling or wasting your focus on your energy, because Saturn likes to conserve energy, because Saturn wants to find what is the essence of something. What is the thing that really works, that is really practical, that is really well streamlined? And so you focus on it. So these obstacles that Saturn tends to give in career while it's in the 10th house, these delays or dissatisfaction with certain structures and areas and facets of your career, or how you organize your career, worldly duties, is only so they can be streamlined, only so they can be re-examined, fixed, corrected, done more efficiently, and that you take the kernel, the most essential of those things, and bringing forward. So this is like becoming a master of your trade, or becoming a master of your vocation. But it usually feels like, oh, so many responsibilities and burdens, so much work. But then in this process, you notice what works, what doesn't work, what to keep, what not to keep. I'm an Aries myself, and Saturn has been doing this for the last 2 years. And what did I decide to do? I decided to change the whole business structure that I've been having for 10 years, and to really focus on the things that are make sense, that the things that are practical, to eliminate the ambitions in my career and goals that are far-fetched, that are not realistic. So it's like a reality check on your career. And if you have bosses, as I said, maybe the bosses or authority figures above you have been so demanding, like Saturn. They have been pushing you, they have been requiring more from you, more quality rather than quantity. Or if you are your own boss, authority figure, you noticed and you had an internal push to kind of streamline, downsize almost, to leave the most effective part of your career or your worldly responsibilities, rather than and almost like an inner authority was pushing you, your inner authority was pushing you to be more realistic, more you know, structured and organized. And yes, the process feels hard while you're doing that, because it requires a lot of hard work, for example, to restructure something. But the period is hard only while Saturn is in the 10th house. Once it moves into the 11th house, you notice that you've been able to work through those complexity in the previous 2.5 years, and you've simplified them, and then your work life and your career life and your reputation become so much easier to handle. They start flowing naturally. So also, uh, often people take more responsibilities if they're in high positions. When Saturn transits their 10th house, they take extra responsibilities. Maybe they even get more authority. If they're very good at something they do, their authority gets recognized when Saturn transits in the 10th house. And I can tell you, I definitely, Saturn wants to consolidate something. Since Saturn's been in my 10th house, it consolidated my reputation, it consolidated my strength in my qualities as a professional, my leadership abilities. The 10th house is a natural leader, organizer, but also Saturn maybe brought a lot of such responsibilities in your life. And if you are younger, usually people who are younger with Saturn transiting their 10th house, there is usually an authority figure in their life, a parent, a teacher, a boss, or someone who plays that role for trying to extract the best qualities of them by pushing them, by criticizing them, even by forcing them to be more practical, realistic, dedicated, devoted in their career. But yes, from March from 21st of March, Saturn, and of course, as I said, it could have created some problems with your career, some delays, some restructuring as well. But also for people that work very hard, this is time when they get recognized, when Saturn is in the 10th house, when they kind of reach a peak of some sort. And then Saturn moves from March 21st to July in our 11th house. So for about 2-3 months, it's going to give us a taste of what it is going to be like in the next 2 years after that, while Saturn is in our Aries' 11th house. So just for 2 months, 2.5 months, you're going to have a peak. And then from the middle of December, Saturn goes back in July in Capricorn. So we have to revisit again some structures of our career, revisit some old projects, maybe do a little bit more work there in regards to that area of life, or with authority figures. And as I said, or maybe the final resolution of certain problems with institutions, with people in power, because when Saturn is there, you have to work on your own authority and power, how you as a leader or others, such authority figures and institutions, they kind of test you, they demand from you more, some confrontations can happen with them, and then it will be revisited from the summer till the middle of December. The need to complete certain project or redo, because Saturn will be retrograde there a lot, to redo, to put final touches to some project that you're working on, to some career, to finish some big career project, for example. This is often how it can play out. And then it comes back to Aquarius again from the end of December, from the middle of December. But what will Saturn in the 11th house for a few months till the spring, in the spring, and then 21, 22 bring? Well, Saturn in the 11th house is a very social house of social responsibility, and it will make you think very hard and start working hard on how do you fit in society. Okay, you've mastered your vocation, you've mastered your profession, you've mastered some important responsibility, you've restructured in some way your ambitions, the structures in your life. Now when Saturn moves to the 11th house, it's going to ask you to basically work on how do you fit in the big structure, how do you fit in the big in society, what do you want to contribute. What is the 11th house is the house of goals and wishes, but goals and wishes that we, in a sense, how do we want to fit in society, what do we want to contribute for the big picture for others. So you start taking more responsibility. Some of you might get like a desire or inspiration, or it might be forced on them from outside, which is what Saturn does, to take more responsibility for larger groups of people, to start participating in groups, in social groups of some sort, with awareness, political awareness, or nature awareness, or the big themes of society, the humanitarian themes that people are involved with, and you're going to start taking such topics much more seriously. Maybe become member of business clubs, maybe become member of some society that can further progress your goals and ambitions. But those connections that you're going to create while Saturn is in your 11th house in Aquarius, there will be not so much connections for friendships, to have fun. These will be serious connections that are based on business, that are based on goals, that are based on economic goals, or goals of how you can contribute to society. And often, actually, when Saturn goes into the 11th house, a person cuts off the friendships that are waste of time, or the friendship that are just based on, or even if you don't cut them off consciously, they're diminished because you're working very hard on your goals, which are social and economic goals, to contribute to the world, to spread your knowledge. Aquarius, or the 11th house as well, is a sign of spreading your knowledge, taking the qualities that you have and making them reach wider audience, to contribute to society on the whole. So because of that, your socializing time decreases. Socializing time for fun, sitting there, drinking, chatting with friends, and all your social connections focus on something serious. Maybe you can join groups that, on the internet, that are interested in what you're trying to spread as a message to the world, or that are interested in something that you want to have as a career, and such kind of more serious focus. And also the friends of a person during that time, the ones that are no longer necessary, they start going away, leaving, disappearing. They start, in my case, when Saturn transited my 11th house from the ascendant, I relocated to live in a different country. All my friends spread around the world, and my whole friendship system was reorganized. Saturn likes to reorganize, minimize, leave just the meaningful, leave just the things and the people that can stand the test of time. So there will be a testing at some friendships. And if the friendship is solid and good, it will survive that period. I'm talking for a little bit of part of 2020, then 21 and 22. This will continue this trend. And those friendships will be tested, and the good ones will stay, the very solid ones will stay. But you can feel it sometimes at moments that you're kind of a bit lonely, but to be honest, many times when I speak with clients, they say that they were ready for that. They would say that they were fed up of those friends that waste their time or whatever, and they were. It just happens oftentimes just naturally. They felt it was inevitable that those people leave from their life, and sometimes they're bigger disappointments. Unfortunately, you kind of discover the truth, because Saturn is a planet of seeing the reality, seeing the reality and the truth of certain friends or groups or societies that you're a member of, and you just leave them. They might be good in their own sense, but they might not be any longer necessary for you. And you can choose and find new ones, though, that are more serious, that will help you for your growth. And as I said, it doesn't mean you have no social network, but it will be a social network based on more on mutual interests, mutually beneficial, and you will decide to take extra responsibility for larger groups of people. When Saturn transited in my 11th house, my social life kind of died out because I focused so much on taking more responsibilities to work with a larger group of people and to collaborate, because Saturn is hard work, taking responsibility. And I started basically working individually with each of the readers on my website. And I got involved in the community. I started presenting them. Till then it was only me on my YouTube channel, only myself. And then I got involved with a larger community and started doing work, Saturn with them, serious stuff, and because of that I also didn't, my social life suffered and whatever. But on another level, Saturn in the 11th house can indicate that some older friends come into your life, people with more authority, people with more, life experience, people that are more respectful or just naturally older in age. But this is a very good place for Saturn. Why is that? Because Saturn is in its natural house, Saturn in the 11th house, and it's in its sign where it's strongest. Aquarius is a sign, Mula Trikona, they call it, the strongest position for Saturn. So Saturn will tend to give its more positive influences while it is in your 11th house. So for a little bit, you can feel it from March 21st to the start of July, and then it will start again from the middle of December and for 2 more years. So Saturn will tend to give more people with authority for friends, people with a lot of social respectability who have proven themselves with secure positions in society, which is Saturn, secure, solid, that are respected, that have been, on the top of the pyramid for a long time, who can help you, because the 11th house is house of benefactors, who can help you um, integrate your or help you spread your message to larger groups of people, help you fulfill your social and economical goals and dreams, because 11th house is very gainful. It's almost like you'll be doing a lot of hard work to become more gainful and to spread and to have more access to larger audience during Saturn being in Aquarius. And yeah, so a lot of, I think it's going to be quite positive. And I think it's going to correspond perfectly with what the other planets are doing, because I'll explain to you in a little bit. But for example, when Saturn enters Aquarius at the end of the year, I'm going to launch a totally new website, because in the past 2 years, I've been restructuring Saturn in the 10th house, the whole business. And so I see, oh, what doesn't work, what works. I don't like this, I like this. So I'm gonna change it, I'm gonna flip it, it's not gonna be like that. So it's hard work. I've been preparing a lot of new softwares, a lot of new services for all of you. It's been taking me 2 years, and I have another one while Saturn keeps going back and forth to finish it. And then when Saturn finally moves into Aquarius full time at the end, on the 21st of December, uh, but it moves on the 14th of December, I will launch the new website and the new Astrolada, totally new vision and everything. And we'll start basically. Now I'm gonna bring what I want to contribute, because what I've been focusing in is developing a website and astrology services that are accessible to the whole bill, to all people. So when Saturn goes into the 11th house, how, in the question you're asking yourself, how can you contribute to the bigger picture? How can you contribute to society? What can you give back to society? And in return, you will receive more respect in society, you receive more solid positions in society, you can receive more gains economically in society. But you're giving here through the work that you've been doing in the past years. You come and you start contributing to larger groups of people. But most of the time, the Saturn is in the 10th house, so we're still working on those structures. We're still cutting off things from our career, streamlining it, fixing it, trying to learn and master the art of leadership, the art of leading your own life, the 10th house, the boss, the art of structure, organization, and responsibility, of course. But you see, Jupiter this year is there with Saturn as well, almost to the end of the year. From the start of 2020 till the end, Jupiter is the other very important planet. Look, it's huge. That gives basically, wherever Jupiter goes, it gives the positive results. Saturn brings the hard lessons, Jupiter opens up the opportunities there. So, what is happening here? Jupiter entering Capricorn, so from the start of 2020, it's already there, till almost till the end of the year, till November or something. So the hard work you've been doing with Saturn in your 10th house for the last 2 years and partly 2020 as well, it's gonna start giving results. So something comes to help you. Jupiter, God's grace and benefits and opportunities that it opens. Jupiter planet is wet and moist. This is the nature of spring. So Jupiter brings opportunity to for new growth, to something to spring, while Saturn has the energy of winter. So it's been drying things out there, it's been making them smaller, or it's been making you kind of structure, organize. While Jupiter says, okay, you've done a lot of hard work. Actually, Saturn is more towards the end of Capricorn, and Jupiter is going to be almost in the whole Capricorn for the whole year. And Jupiter says, okay, you've done the hard work. Now I'm going to come and bring you the rewards. Now you're going to be able to enjoy those rewards. So this year can be a year of especially important social recognition for many areas. So for areas that have been doing the hard work before. So if you've been, if you did the work of Saturn correctly, what I talked about, if you're responsible there, whatever, if you sorted that, try to see what is really important for you and leave it, removing the other things and work hard on it. Now Jupiter comes and says, there you go. Now you're going to get a standing ovation or a promotion. This is what can happen. Suddenly this year, Jupiter, I cannot tell you which day specifically it's important. It is connected to your own personal horoscope, Aries, degree, whatever. But Jupiter now, as yours Aries, you can expect to see the two most important planets that determine material manifestations, that determine outer world achievements are in the house of achievements, the 10th house, in the house of worldly responsibilities and duties, and in the house of reputation. And there is a saying in ancient Vedic astrology, when both Jupiter and Saturn are together in the same sign, this sign manifests. This house, in your case, career, vocation, really gives its results. Why? Because Jupiter brings opportunities, Saturn solidifies them, makes them concrete realities. Well, honestly, guys, now the hard work that you've done, you still have hard work to do with Saturn there, but now it is going to get recognition. And if you're someone younger, for example, you haven't worked as what is that? Social recognition and worldly achievements. So I'm in high school, this is something can happen here where, for example, you get opportunity for a really great job or internship, for example, or something can happen very important in 2020 that influences your career for the next 12 years. That influence, maybe you can get accepted to university or something, or move to a better university, or get start working for some company, or get clarity about the direction that you want to go in your life as well, because Jupiter brings clarity. And Saturn brings concrete actions and hard work. But this, whatever you do 2020, whether you're young or old, this will have an impact for you for next 12 years, because Jupiter will take another 12 years to come back again into your 10th house. And I'm saying it will have a positive impact. There will be new seeds, new opportunities that come, a new project, opportunity to expand your business. While till now, if you're a business owner, you're something you've been streamlining, you've been mastering, you've been redoing something over and over, working hard on it. Now Jupiter, okay, you can grow, you can expand, you can build bigger structures. Jupiter with Saturn in the 10th house, not only do you change the structures, you make them bigger, you make them more, you expand them, and you expand your power. The 10th house, if you're someone with power, with worldly responsibilities, it expands. Look how visible you are. The 10th house is full for you. This is like you're up there. Your actions are visible for others. A lot of is expected from you, but a lot is given to you when it comes to those matters as well. Uh, Also, if you've been having problems with some institutions, which is Saturn in the 10th house, delaying things like institutions demanding things from you, or regulations, bureaucratic things, that can happen, regulations and stuff like that. When Jupiter enters the 10th house, it will start sorting those problems, it will start solving them. You'll be like, phew, finally, positive resolution to this issue. You've been having a problematic boss, Saturn in the 10th. You never do good enough, or problematic professor, or someone with authority over you, or father. The 10th house, Saturn, often it can create problems with the father, problems in the life of the father, some tests there. Well, Jupiter coming there, because Saturn will be in very little part in the, in very, only at the end of Capricorn here in your 10th house. But Jupiter takes the central stage in this 10th house. So, yes, there might be still some lingering problems that you have to fix, from July till December, or that get revisited. But Jupiter makes sure everything will turn out well. Don't worry. With authority figures, with institutions, with the father, you can be released from some very heavy responsibilities connected to institutions, connected to your career, connected to some worldly responsibility. Not only released, but also rewarded for those efforts that you've done. All right. So yes, you're gonna have very powerful people also in your life. The 10th house is authority figures. You have Jupiter and Saturn, the two big players, the two big bosses type of thing. The heart and these together constitute people with power. So people with power, important people, Saturn, important with responsibility, with established positions, with almost like an institution in themselves, and people that are like a good. Benevolent Santa Clauses, also in power, also with a lot of respect. Jupiter is a big planet. I always think of Jupiter as, the like someone like larger than life personalities that are a lot of fun, that are benefactors to others, like what's his name with the Virgin Airlines. You see him always smiling, the big businessman, always embracing smaller businesses, helping such people. So you're gonna have figures like that in your life, who authority figures or bosses, so that are somehow important in your life, who can help you with career, or who can help you with experience, uh, with knowledge as well. And another thing is that when Jupiter enters the 10th house, first of all, people can get new jobs, or people can get fruits of their what is that called, like better qualifications. Plus, Jupiter can bring new knowledge into your field of expertise, whatever your career it is. You can bring a new fresh perspective to it, a new excitement about your field of work, a new passion about it, a new excitability about it, because Jupiter is this positive spring-like planet as well, even though Saturn is still there. So you are responsible, you're not like you're held accountable as well, but with a new added excitement. And by the way, Jupiter will 3 times join Pluto in your 10th house, Aries. What does it mean? This is a very rare conjunction. It happens once every 13, 14 years. And this is the conjunction of wealth or big power. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Pluto is the planet of power in the 10th house of public position and recognition, in the 10th house of career. They can be like a atomic explosion for some of your areas in regards to your social status, like in regards to your ambitions as well. The 10th house is your worldly ambitions. Where do you want to get to? How well known do you want to be? And they can be like empowerment. For some of you, it can be really empowering. That you get really big, or that you get really recognized. And some of you can develop a new, almost fanatic passion towards certain, because Pluto is intense, obsessive. Jupiter is to belief, passion in career, or in certain worldly responsibility. But your career, definitely, when Jupiter enters it, 2020, it becomes career with meaning. It becomes, you will, if it's not currently career with meaning, you will infuse meaning. The circumstances around you infuse meaning. and more humanistic, larger scale, inspirational energy in it, or to a lesser level, just more positive opportunities and more pleasant environment and conditions there. But the Jupiter Pluto, some of you, it might be a year that you make it very big, some of your areas, because of this combination three times. And for others, it can be a year that there is like a authority figure in their life that is kind of power crazy, but is benevolent at the same time. It's like some tycoon or someone who kind of someone that you is an authority in your life, but someone who pushes your buttons because those planets are making hard aspect to Aries. Someone who maybe is over dominating, overpowering with their presence. All those important, very powerful planets are there. But this person somehow stimulates you personally to grow. So if there are kind of intense authority figures and bosses around you, and a lot of them they have belief in you, but they'll be very strict on you, and they'll be very fanatical and almost manipulative or forceful. Pluto is that energy. So they will, or some things with institutions that happen, they will force you, the square aspect that they make into Aries. Squares is dynamic change, in cardinal signs, dynamic change, action, to become more of who you are, you know. But it's not gonna be very easy because, as I said, there are you Aries. We naturally are authority leaders. We want to be leaders, and if there is someone there telling us like a boss, demanding, we can be like, they're going on my nerves. I can't stand that. If you're your own boss, you become a little bit of a, you know, what do they? If you're your own boss, then you become a little bit of a ball buster towards others and towards yourself. Because your ambitions get expanded by Jupiter. You're still structured and organized and demanding quality. And Pluto comes, you can become fanatical and exert power. And just be careful because we Aries might tend to be a bit like that, pushy. But for some of you, that can be a great source of empowerment in the world, and maybe that's exactly what you need. While for others, it might feel like others might start noticing, if you're already like that, they'll start noticing, ooh, chill, come on, you're demanding too much of yourself, you're demanding too much of others, but this is the task you have to do. Quality control, expansion when it comes to career, perfectionism, Saturn, doing it over and over, having bigger, grander visions in regards to your career, expanding, plus obsession almost. Plus, Pluto is a planet of very powerful willpower. So unfortunately, it can indicate also clashes with with people in power, with powerful people, like some kind of power struggles that happen. Or if there is none such, there is a power struggle between you as a boss that you push others. All right. So this is the major influences of Saturn and Jupiter. As I said, they want to really start a new phase of your career, a bigger one with recognitions and stuff. I'm not going to repeat, but this is the major Saturn and Jupiter, what they do. I often like to this year in Rahu and Ketu, south and north node of the moon, are changing in May their signs, their houses, and they're the karmic nodes. So again, very fated events happen where they move. They're always opposite each other. They're not planets, they're plane. They're basically an axis. The axis where the Earth and the Moon cross. The Earth and Moon ecliptic cross. They're very important in ancient astrology. Actually, they were the dominant force. They would look much more at Rahu and Ketu than what the planets were doing. So we have to check those. So if your Aries Sun, Moon, or Rising, Rahu and Ketu are moving from May till the end of the year and the whole of 2021. So for a year and a half, they're moving from Capricorn and Cancer, where they were, into Gemini and Sagittarius. Very quickly, what does it mean? Well, Ketu it was in Capricorn, was asking him to release certain, because Ketu is to release, to let go of something, of certain responsibilities, of certain structures in your life, of certain relationships with authority or father figures. to maybe to spiritualize also your career. But from May, it moves into your ninth house, it moves backwards. So, what does it mean? Whatever Ketu is, we have to let go of something. We have certain security paradigm there that is no longer useful, you release it. And the ninth house is our belief systems. So some of your Aries will notice that they get a dissatisfaction with a teacher, or that they kind of get, because Ketu might feel like, you become apathetic or disinterested towards a certain spiritual belief systems that you had, or that you get disenchanted with it as well. Or that you discover another different belief system, so you release an old one. But Ketu in the ninth house asks you to be less opinionated. That's what it is basically about your beliefs. They can be, less opinionated, more open-minded, because Ketu is non-attached influence. Don't be so attached to your beliefs. On another level, on more materialistic level, it can mean ninth house is what you study, what you're learning. Uh, so Ketu might ask you to abandon certain direction of studies that you're doing, certain direction of higher knowledge. You might lose interest in it, for example. You might feel disconnected to it. Ketu is disconnected. It's the tail of the dragon that was cut away from the head. So it's disconnected, is disinterested. On another level, it can indicate, I've seen when Ketu transits someone ninth house is teachers, people we admire, we respect, that they get disconnected from such a figure. On a more different level that I've seen ninth house is higher knowledge, Ketu rules astrology in Vedic astrology. So that can be a very powerful time for Aries if they're interested, especially in the more spiritual side of astrology. And Ketu has no limits what it can absorb. Ketu is without boundaries. So you can absorb some higher knowledge, especially Ketuvian higher knowledge, which is astrology, and astrology is very objective usually, even though we make it subjective. And Ketu is detached, so also you can welcome a belief system of detachment. For example, that you really work on, okay, I'll do what is required from me, but I'm not attached to the results of it. And that's a very, Ketu in the ninth house is very spiritual position, because the highest belief system is that one of releasing desires, and that's what Ketu does, releasing desires. So maybe a lot of you as Aries, or some of you at least on the spiritual path, will embrace belief systems of detachment, of uh, um, of karma yogi, basically. That's what, I don't know how to explain it, but do the best you can and leave the results, don't be attached to them. And also you might have to abandon certain high knowledge pursuits, but Rahu goes into your third house. What does it mean? That from May 2020 till the end of 2021, you have to really focus on that Rahu. So your beliefs are becoming very spiritual. Ketu spiritualizes them, but also you can have this disenchantment with certain worldviews, with certain beliefs or ideologies which you had till now. For example, I've seen people that have Ketu transiting their ninth house, that they get very detached from a political party, because ninth house is what you believe, what you like, your opinions, this is what matters, and then you're like, no longer interested in that, or but with Rahu in the third house, now all the energy, and Rahu is a bit obsessive. It's a mixture of Pluto, of Uranus, and it's unpredictable. It's very interesting energy. So wherever Rahu goes, you can develop materially that house a lot. You can see material manifestation of that house, and you can gain something. While whatever Ketu is, you lose something. In extreme cases, Ketu in the ninth house, there can be a loss of a father figure, a teacher, a belief system, loss of sense of meaning and purpose sometimes, or worldview, loss of old worldviews. In the best case scenario, with Rahu in the third house, you can gain something material there, but your passion moves, it's no longer so spiritual. Your passion becomes more material because it's in the third house. Third house is a business house. Third house, the house of exchange with others, ideas with others. It's a house of marketing, with advertising, of selling ideas, of sharing ideas. So this is where your passion becomes. And actually you can manifest a lot through this third house from the middle of May, from May till 2020, for a year and a half after that. For example, you can materially gain through a website, third house's website, or you can materially gain by training. You can develop passion for training. I'm not talking physical training, it's training some skills, teaching, for example, but teaching that is not philosophical in nature. It's not about principles, it's about techniques, strategies, you know. So you're gonna get, for example, you might develop passion for marketing, you might develop passion for advertising, you might develop passion for sales. This is third house. You might develop passion for spreadsheets as well. You know, third house is all that too. Kind of plans and lists. You can develop plans for writing, and actually can develop passion for writing. You might require from May onwards that you write a lot of things. You might be bulletins, newsletters, reports, but it's not something that you are forced into doing. It's something that you feel drawn towards. It's something that you feel excited about. It's something that kind of even a bit of a compulsive thing there. Um, Another thing, the third house, is that it will get you passionate and excited and manifest those things materially. Short trips, so short journeys, having to move to and from a lot more. Like uh, have to, instead of being stationary in office, you have to move everyday trip somewhere. Or every weekend you go somewhere. You know, short trips is something that is like you don't have to go to another continent and stay there weeks. You and third house is like working in a small group environment. This is what is gonna become materially. Oh, I lost my wrap. It was gonna become materially. Sorry, you're gonna become materially um, beneficial through third house activities, which is to collaborate in small group environments. To third houses like colleagues or teammates, playmates, that you kind of are busy doing something together. Uh, Third house is also learning new skills. You can become very passionate suddenly to learn to play the piano, or to learn to do some software, to do edit videos, to do media, whatever, anything that requires skills and learning skills, or to knit. You know, depends on your personal horoscope what it is, skills that you're interested in. But now, from the middle of May, it's going to be a very intense periods of developing such new skills, getting excited about that. And when Rahu transits the third house, we become very experimental. We're willing to try our hands. The third house, Gemini, rules the hands. We're willing to try our hands on different things rather than just sit here and philosophize. What could it be? You know, the ninth house is very philosophical. It doesn't want to dirty its hands. You know, it wants to stay in the lofty heights. But because Ketu is there, we can't do that. We have to jump into that third house. Start experimenting. Do this, do that. Let me try this. Let me try painting. Let me try pottery making. Let me try do a website. Let me try play an instrument. Let me try to make advertisements campaigns. Any kind of thing. And then you start experimenting. This campaign is not working. Let me change the audience. Maybe this is not working. So you'll be in a very willing to experiment mode and willing to try your hands on different things. I think it's fantastic energy. For us, the third house is very supportive, the Gemini energy. And with Rahu, it says that Rahu loves transiting the third house because Rahu likes to experiment new things, especially new material things, to try its hands on tangible things and developing passion for, any kind of new skills. What better, especially if you're someone who wants to have a business, who wants to develop their skills. Third house is to reach groups of people. So this is fantastic, again, to connect with others. Third house together and the 11th house. And remember that Saturn is going to be also in your 11th house from time to time, and 2021 as well. And Rahu there. So Saturn will be sending good aspects. So you're doing some constructive connections here to larger audience. 11th house is also business house, the necessary connections. But at the same time, Rahu in the third house you're also passionate about creating those connections and getting larger audience, connecting with more people, collaborating with associates. And especially you can notice that after Rahu enters your third house, there can be associates around you, and these are not like your closest friends or anything. These are associates, people that you're connected through interests again, or people that you have to exchange something in your everyday environment that are Rahuvian, that are in nature, maybe foreign, maybe a bit eccentric and different, So while Saturn might be restricting some of your friendships here and removing some old friends and just keeping the essential ones, Ketu, Rahu in the third house will bring a lot of acquaintances. Third house is connected to people in your daily life that are more excitable, that have a foreign element, that are willing to experiment, that have new, kind of even more ideas that are out there. Communications as well, when Rahu is in the third house, this is fantastic to um, learn a foreign language, because Rahu is something foreign. Third house is, to communicate with others, and to do short trips to foreign countries and stuff like that, or to experiment. What else is the third house? Is courage. Rahu can stimulate that courage to be a little bit, you already, but let me tell you, Rahu is not the big thing. The big thing is Mars in our first house in Aries. This is, everything else is happening, but this is what we're gonna feel the most. When you look back at this year, you'll be like, oh my God. Because as I said, Mars was retrograde in Aries last time in 1988. So this is a once in a lifetime or twice in a lifetime transit that happens. The next time Mars will become retrograde in its own sign in Aries again will be 2064. I'm probably not going to be alive then. I don't know about you, but this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to grow and to really refine your Mars quality, your Aries quality. Mars is the natural ruler of Aries. Mars and Aries, they're almost the same thing. So will be called this year, the second part of the year. The moment Mars enters Aries, which happens from July. So from July to the end of the year, but with specific impact on the period while Mars is retrograde, September the 9th till November the 13th. September the 9th till November the 13th. So the autumn, basically. The start of the autumn till the middle. But the whole period from July to the end of the year, Mars is here. It's moving within the boundaries of Aries. All Aries will feel it, but specifically Aries who have their sun, moon, or ascendant, or maybe Venus and Mercury as well, some other planets in Aries, from 15 degrees till 30, till 28, but the last 15 degrees. So basically from the middle of the sign, each sign is 30 degrees. So the second half of Aries, anyone from 15 to 30 degrees Aries, sun, moon, or ascendant, I have all my planets there. I have my sun, Venus, Mars there. So they will feel it the most. The previous 15 degrees will also feel Mars because it's in their sign, but with a little bit less stressful impact, with a little bit less life-defining energies. So what does it mean to have Mars go retrograde and stay? Usually Mars stays in a sign for 2 months, or a month and a half, and moves on. Now Mars becoming retrograde will be there for 7 months in our sign in Aries. It becomes like outer planet transit. And because Mars is a visible planet, and when it's retrograde, it becomes super bright in the sky. I don't know if you've gone, and last year, 2018, Mars was retrograde most of the summer. When you'd go out every night, it was like a angry red eye staring at you. It's so noticeable. It's bright, it's red. You can feel the anger there. You can feel the excitability, the energy, the eye of Sauron or something. Well, this will happen in the autumn for us. And I don't want you to get scared because Mars is in its own sign, first of all. Aries is rules it. So when there is a Vedic saying, a rule in Jaimini astrology, when a planet that rules a sign is transiting its own sign, then it manifests. So we're going to be very manifesting. But because Mars will go retrograde, there will be a challenge, meaning that we'll have to, and it's in Aries. What does it mean? We'll have to conquer something. Aries is to conquer, to win, to fight. Aries is to overpower something. And because it's in our own sign, the first house, we might have to overpower our own inner demons, our own laziness. But it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to get your gears moving. Mars is the planet of action, and it wants you to conquer. You'll be with a mindset in the second part of the year. You have to win something. You're gonna be fighting for something. You're gonna be like a soldier. Mars is a soldier. What do soldiers do? They get mobilized, they uh, they barely sleep, they barely eat, they focus their energy into a battle. I know that how they train them, even it's like they leave them without food for days so they can. And Mars, when it's very active, like it's gonna be for us, it's gonna put us in this hectic state. People say when Mars goes retrograde, you don't have energy. It's not true. When Mars goes retrograde, the energy becomes even more intense inside, more internal. Mars is much closer to Earth when it's retrograde. It's way more visible. So its energy is more undiluted, more pure. So you feel this inner engine not giving you rest and peace. You have to have a breakthrough. What is Aries? New beginnings, our first house. New beginnings, a breakthrough through some old pattern, a breakthrough to Mars can break through and build things as well. Mars is like Mars rules factories as well, where they create something concrete, where you use, but you're gonna be using a lot of energy, like almost without the ability to rest for a few months. It's going to be so focused on some activity, so focused on some project that you're doing, on fighting something, on building something. For many, for example, if it's your ascendant or sun, it might be your physical body that you want to build. Like a bodybuilding, you can start a workout routine. You can start a routine that pushes you to the limit, or that, and when Mars turns direct from November, this routine will be established in you so much that your whole life will gonna do it. If you establish some, because what do soldiers do? They train. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna train for something. You're gonna try. You're gonna exert yourself physically, and it's gonna require willpower. Mars is the planet of willpower. When it goes so long in your sign and it's retrograde, you will be required to use the willpower for something. First house, if it's the sun or ascendant, it might be for physical, something physical that you have to do. People start working out, then whatever. In worst case scenario, it can be an operation. Mars has especially in day birth charts. The day birth charts, if you're born during the day, Mars is a bit more aggressive there, so more invasive. But in extreme cases, I'm not saying this will be, there might be some operations, some accidents. We have to see how your ascendant, sun, or moon is in your horoscope. If it has a lot of difficult aspects, and if it's connected to houses, connected to accidents and the physical body, I'll be like, be careful. But in worst case scenario, so you're prepared, Mars transit in your sign can create some accidents, cuts, bruises, burns, something sudden that happens that shakes you off, that kind of that affects the physical body, and even operations. Or it can be inflammatory conditions, high temperatures, fevers. Mars rules all kind of things like pests that attack the nervous system or attack the body, or bacteria, viruses, things like that. Usually pests increase when Mars is retrograde. But it's, again, I'm not saying that's it, you attacked, you died. This is, what does it mean? All Aries next year will have. No, but I said this is in extreme cases. You have to be warned of what some of Mars energy can be. Also, Mars energy can indicate fighting with someone. But because you'll be fighting with someone because you want your independence. It's in your first house. It's you. You're instigating the war. You're the one that is provoked to wake up, and you're the one who is provoked to start a new beginning, and you get angry. You get angry at yourself if you've been doing something in a way that's not right, and then you go and fix it. Mars ultimately is a fix-it guy. He's a soldier, but he's a fix-it guy. And have you noticed how sometimes you can be doing something for years and saying, oh, I should fix that, I should fix that. It's not like, like, for example, I've seen for a few years my website had glitches and stuff. Now I'll fix it. I never did, until a Mars transit came. Someone really pissed me off. Like 4 people came, started complaining, and I said, okay, I got so angry that I went and fixed the whole website and changed it. So what it takes anger sometimes to motivate us and put us into action. So when you start getting angry, when Mars starts transiting your sign, the second part of the year, instead of just getting destructive and stuff, remember that this is a motivational force to get you moving, to move you out of your comfort zone. Anger can be fantastic for career advancement, it can be fantastic for uh, confronting problems that you didn't have the courage to confront before. And as I said, it can be the time when some of you finally start working out, create a routine of exercise regime. And you might be pushing to that because of anger. Oh, I hate how I look. I hate my physical body. I'm gonna do it. If it's your moon that is in Aries, especially in the last 15 degrees, there can be the need to fix something and change something and new beginnings and breakthroughs, and do something physically exerting with your home, with your family, with your property. You might be fighting with a woman or a mother or a wife, you know. You might feel emotionally very feisty, but again, it's pushing you towards certain direction. If it's your sun that is in Aries, like in my case, Mars will get you to be very active and very initiative. You have to break through something and you have to lose, when especially when it gets retrograde, three times. A planet when it's retrograde, you need to exert three times more efforts. So Mars is willpower to fix something, to work hard on something, to fight for something, you know, to mobilize your energies for something. So while it's retrograde, September to November, if your sun is in Aries, you might be required to do this in regards to your career. You might be fighting with a male father figure or something. You might be having some crisis with such authority figures, the sun, or with your career that you have to fix, that you have to, like, a lot of pressure to do something there, you know, and a lot of your like sleepless nights almost, because uh, Saturn works hard, but it works repetitive, day in, day out. Mars works hard, but it goes like the Saturn is like the marathon runner. Mars is the sprinter. So you have like a period of 2, 3 months where you have to sprint. You might not have time to eat, or you might not have time to just go, 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 you know, or fix things and do things, you know. So this is you'll be running a sprint in 2020. And this sprint will bring you to new beginnings. I promise you, by the end of 2020, so many years, especially those born in the last 15 degrees. Basically, last 15 degrees means it's from the 4th till the 20th of April. Will have gotten a breakthrough in their life, will have incorporated more of their Aries energies, will have become more conquered something, won something, achieved more leadership of some sort, overcome, because Aries is dauntless, so is Mars, overcome some fear, had a breakthrough, but especially with their health and body, and especially with some new initiative that they're having. And the biggest push, I repeat, is again from September the 9th to November the 13th. After that, till the end of the year, you're going to see the results of those things. So if things get too stressful, don't forget what the ultimate goal of Mars is to push into actions, to create a crisis, to push you to new beginnings. Mars is new energy. It's very youthful. Mars wants something new, not the old ways. But Mars is making three times square with Saturn from Aries. Saturn here requires, you know, quality control, sticking to the rules. Mars requires new things, so you can have this push and pull, especially in the autumn, with some authority figure or institutions or people in power, or with some structures that are created that you're trying to break through them, or that you're trying to do in a new way. And you have to, something will around that time stress you, but also stimulate you into action to overcome that frustration. So, fascinating, huh? We're gonna have also Venus retrograde. Whoa, so many planets are going retrograde, but for Aries, and Venus is retrograde earlier part of the year. I'm jumping around a bit because for you, if you don't listen to this video, just come back to the Aries retrograde period. That's so important for you. And again, you are asked with this Mars in Aries period to become winners. You are asked to incorporate the qualities of conquest, conquering, winning, physical activity, drive, ambition, and like a soldier that trains for something. Venus goes retrograde in your third house. And remember that Rahu was there. I lost my Rahu, so I've used this one. And Venus is retrograde from May the 13th to June the 25th. So May, from the middle of May to the end of June. So around that time when Venus goes retrograde, May till June, till July almost, third house is connections, is people in your everyday environment. So you will reconnect with a lot of people from the past. You'd get in touch with them, or they will get in touch with you. It might be friends, collaborators, workmates, or you can even hear from an old love, someone that you have something unresolved with. But you hear like on media or on the phone, or kind of you have to say something to each other to communicate on another level, especially if Venus is making some harder aspects in your horoscope, which I cannot tell you without looking at your horoscope. It can indicate that you and someone else have to talk on intimate matters or matters of the heart, and more deeply, more you have to clarify certain things. Third house is communication. You have to discuss certain things and agree on a more proper exchange, and this can cause some stresses. So you might notice that you have to say certain things to a partner that that you were holding on for a while, and the retrograde period brings it up. But if it's making good aspects, it will just make a relationships, business or personal collaboration, or business or personal association better. Also, there might be the revisiting of brothers or relatives or siblings in this period. Venus retrograde in the third house, siblings, relatives, reconnecting with old schoolmates, playmates. Um, Sometimes even to straighten a situation or whatever. Or it can be revisiting of a project and putting final details and editing, especially of the visual part, of the aesthetic part of some commercial business project. Third house is commercial business project, or writing or speaking projects. So you might be working kind of over and over, redoing something there, putting final touches, uh, having to to fix it a little bit. Retrograde period is again to fix something, to make better, to see what is not working so you can improve it. Also, for some of you, it can indicate like a trip to a place, a long desired place, a place or short trip for a long desired place, for example. uh, I was planning to do there a conference. So maybe I'll reconnect with some of you. A conference with Venus retrograde in the third house, maybe from past lifetimes, or maybe from previous people that I've met before. Um, or if you've been planning some trips before, or some conference, third house rules conferences, gatherings of people where someone teaches, where someone trains as well. This can be a good time if you've been planning it before, not to start, brand new projects such, but if you've been planning it before, you can now put the final touches and kind of make it work better. All right. Um, what else do we have? We have Mercury going retrograde 3 times, but it goes retrograde every year 3 times. But I have to mention quickly for you that the first retrograde of Mercury, here we are, is from February 16th to March the 9th, and it's happening in Pisces. February 16th to March the 9th. So, because it's in Pisces, it's in your 12th house, this period, there can be some confusions, there can be some loss of information, some delays, because 12th house is to lose something, to display some information. Be careful not to gossip behind people's backs, or that there is some communications behind you that you're missing. These are the things that you have to be careful of. It can be a period good for good reflection, deeper reflection, preparing something behind the scenes, researching it behind the scenes. The 12th house, Mercury is to research. So that's a good time for it. Or maybe even to revisit some old place that you've been to, faraway place in a foreign country, or to get in touch with contacts from faraway places, or even study of occult or deep mystical topics. Retrograde Mercury likes to go deep, to analyze yourself deeper as well, your subconscious, conscious. But otherwise, you can feel in this period a bit absent-minded. You can lose certain things, communication devices, break them. You can misplace documents, information, and things like that. So be careful in that. Then the second time Mercury goes retrograde is from June the 18th to July 12th. And this is happening in Cancer. Now you're going to feel that more because Cancer squares Aries. So, oops, no. So, especially if you are Aries who are born from 25th of March to the 5th of April, the Mercury retrograde that is happening June, July will affect you. If you are Aries born from 25th of May to 5th of April, the second Mercury retrograde is more disruptive for you because it's making square aspect, which is kind of, testing aspect, some obstacles, especially from the fourth house with family, with matters regarding arranging place of living, with matters regarding parents or family responsibilities, something in regards to your family or parenthood responsibilities or parenthood duties or generally your family can require extra efforts. This is Mercury, can require extra. The plans might not go as expected. You have to fix it, make different plans. You might start some renovations there that take a bit longer. uh, if you're trying to sell or buy property, that can be a bit more frustrating and delaying time for all areas generally, but also the home can require more attention, and some important conversations with family can happen, some important intimate conversation for matters regarding family and the arrangement in family and the relationships with family, or property that have been escalating. They will need to be addressed. They will need to be addressed during the Mercury retrograde period. Some unsaid things between family. Or it can also mean, on a much simpler note, is that you're revisiting family. That you're saying that you're bringing things from the past and you're communicating with family members or with someone else, or you're thinking a lot about things from your childhood, from the past that are coming to the surface that you have to work through, or you have to kind of think on from a different perspective, because a retrograde planet gives you ability to see things from a different perspective. Or you might bring things like, mom, why did this happen when I was young? What are your feelings about it? Like bringing such things. And of course, it can be accompanied by some crisis there, such kind of more painful feelings that are brought to the surface. But on the material level, as I said, sorting out documents or arranging and things with family or home or property can become a little bit more problematic. Maybe not problematic, requiring more efforts. That's the retrograde, requiring three times more efforts. But again, the results, the final results, are three times more potent and positive. All right. So certain communications with family can escalate, and things that were not unsaid can be said. And the third time this happens, uh, Mercury goes retrograde in October 13th to November 3rd. Geez, that corresponds with the Mars retrograde. So we're having Mercury and Mars retrograde. Oh, and it's happening at Libra, 26 degrees till 12 degrees Scorpio. So Mercury is there, like that, in your seventh and eighth house. So you might have to revise some matters regarding taxes, insurances, inheritances, some delays, some papers there to fix them, to revise them, or mutual resources. So don't take big, in that period, October 13th to November 3rd, with other people's resources. Don't take chances, don't take risks. Um, Also, maybe revise, rebudget your plan with your partner, business or personal partner, redirect money here, there, Wow, you feel when Mercury goes retrograde in Libra, those of you who are born from the 15th till the 20th of April, or who have their ascendant or moon from basically 26 degrees to 30 degrees in Aries. Ascendant or moon 26 till 30, or the last 5 degrees of Aries, so born from 15th till 20th of April, you would feel the third Mercury retrograde the most. And it's happening in the seventh house. There can be a kind of an open confrontation with someone that you need to discuss, especially with marriage partner or business partner, that you have to discuss and renegotiate the agreements of a contract, a project, or business deal might take longer to close or might need to be reworked. Its rules, it might need to be reworked, or its points. Or you might have to re-examine a personal relationship and bring up what has been bothering you about it and say, well, this and this is not working. Or maybe a partner will bring this to you. They might want to communicate with you on a deeper level, or to bring up things from the past to discuss. Or business partner, you are re-examining business or personal relationship, and hopefully good communication but Mars is squaring Mercury at that time, is opposing it. So you can notice that it will be a bit more tougher and a bit more tense than the I always try to see the positive side, but around this period, Aries, October 13th to November 3rd, especially the last 5 degrees of Aries, they can feel more tension in communication, uh, in agreements with other, in exchange with others, clients, businesses, business partners, marriage partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, that a committed relationship. You might be a clash because you're still in this feisty mode here. You're trying to break through to something new. You're required to use a lot of your energy and willpower in some direction, and you might be disrupting a partner, and a partner brings up issues. So be careful around those times, partners, clients, and things like that. And with Mars retrograde in your first house, I would advise you not to lose your cool, not to lose your, just go and do something physical, run or whatever. Don't be too impulsive, because you can burst out and get angry more easily the second part of the year. You just notice it, it's around you, but the universe is sending you that, and you can bust up your nervous system because of that, your adrenals. But the universe is sending you that energy so you can really have a breakthrough, initiate something new, and win something. Win and be like a soldier. This is the year of your life where you're going into the army, basically, to train, to lead to perfection, but try not to use it to fight with others. It's your issue, it's in your first house. Others might provoke you, call you out. Why are you being like that? What are you doing? Be more diplomatic. But your ultimate goal is to change yourself this year and to start a new beginning. And I want to give some specific days now, because Neptune and Uranus are not affecting you. They're in signs that are not affecting Aries. These are the outer planets. Outer planets, big, deep psychological changes. They're here. So you see no aspect. But Pluto is in Capricorn from the degrees 22 till 25. So Aries born with their sun 22 to 25 degrees, which means, or their moon or ascendant 22 to 25 degrees. I'm one of those. I'm 23 degrees Aries. They'll have the biggest change in their life this year. You'll never have another transit like that, let's say. I'm not saying even on an external level, it's a big psychological transformation. So if you're born the whole year, maybe even next year, born from the 11th till the 15th of April, if your sun is in Aries, or 22 degrees till 25 degrees Aries. These are the degrees, the other one are the days. This will be the year where the old ego of the sun, the old sense of awareness of who you are dies, because a new one has to be born. Some of you might have a sense of dread, a sense of that something doom and gloom is going to happen. Some of you might have a sense of inevitable death, like something is hanging above them, like something tragic can happen or whatever. Most often this does not happen, very rarely. Usually it happens for people that are very, that they really need a slap from the universe to become self-introspective, because Pluto calls for a deep, becoming very deep and self-introspective, to find the motivation behind your actions, the subconscious reasons why you're acting certain ways. When you realize them, you release these subconscious complexes and issues. So people that are naturally self-introspective, the change will happen internally. It can follow as a follow-up. They can do things externally different, but it's not gonna come to them from outside as a pressure, as a huge change. And for example, let me give you an example. When someone had Pluto square their sun or opposite, their marriage ended, their career ended, and they become super introspective because all they could do is stay at home and just ask themselves why. And they, in the period of 1.5 years while Pluto was squaring their sun, I mean, like their life collapsed basically. What they believed was their life. And they become so self introspective. They stopped drinking, taking drugs. Obviously, there was a reason that the marriage collapsed and the job, but that they start examining where their fault was. They start examining how they, rather than putting a blame. When Pluto is around, you don't put blame. You look within. what it is that you are not doing right, what it is that you're stuck in the same pattern. And they transformed so much. The physical appearance changed within a few months, for better. The whole life changed for better. And then the universe brought them an amazing gift after that: a family, career, everything that they wanted. But something has to die. When Pluto is there, don't worry, you're not gonna die. It's not usually, people around you might, or they might disappear from your life when it's the sun. For example, a father figure, an authority figure, a career, how you see yourself as well. If it's the moon, a mother, a female figure, something in your home or family or property, something in your feelings, some part of how your emotional needs, how you express your emotional needs, how you take care of yourself or others has to die. So transfer, or your emotional attachments from the past have to die, or your emotional patterns and habits. If it's the ascendant, your physical appearance, your approach to life, your fate in life kind of gets transformed. But the ultimate goal of Pluto is that it makes the deepest transformation than any other planet possible. And even if they're not noticeable in external experiences, and no one else will probably know what you're going through, but sometimes they happen from outside as well. But this, you're never going to be the same person after Pluto transit, because it wants to remove. Pluto is the planet that rules the colon. What do we do there? We excrete, we eliminate, we detox from there, we remove all the poisons from our body. So, if you're resisting this process of cleansing and detoxing, the universe will force it onto you. You might get sick, so you can't eat anything but, say, fruits and vegetables. So, you might get, uh, just like this person detoxed the drugs, everything from their life, because they were starting to feel like so clogged, so poisonous. They were like, it's not a free will. You have to do it. With Pluto now, unless some people are very sensitive and they feel those impulses of Pluto, so they naturally use their willpower to create this powerful detox in their life from everything, basically, from everything that is dead. But Pluto has the destroying power, but also it has in it the creative power. Pluto is like a seed from a tree that falls down. It's like the dead matter from the tree, okay? It's what's not necessary, but it has the life force in it to also spurt out and create a new tree from the seed. So what's happening is that the complexes from you, from past lifetimes, of fear, of pain, of abuse, pain, it's like kind of trauma, they're coming to the surface. So you can feel like you're losing your mind a little bit. You can feel overwhelmed emotionally. You can feel like you have to deal with power struggles with others, obsessive thoughts. But it's because old complexes from many past lifetimes are coming to the surface. It's like boiling process. When water boils, all the impurities comes to the surface and it stirs up all that was at the bottom, and you never even remembered it was there, but it's been carrying you like pain body attached to you, like a dross. But it boils to the surface now, and in this year, while it's boiling to the surface, you can a bit lose it. Not lose it, but you can just feel very intense. You can feel this, the tremendous shift within you is so powerful that most of you won't be able to realize the power of the magnitude of what's happening until a few years after that, because it's a very deep psychological process. Some of you will need consulting, some of you will need working, delving into astrology to understand your motives, your deep motives, why things are happening or why you're feeling like that. But the ultimate goal is that you get reborn, like the seed of the tree that gets, it's, we think it's destroyed, buried in the earth and dead, but actually from there the life force comes out. So things will be eliminated from your life that are no longer necessary: addictions, attachments, very strong desires that we've had, that we're afraid to lose something. We desire it, like it might be addiction to something, it might be addiction to a person, it might be addiction to a certain mode of expressing or being, and you're like, if I lose that, no, I can't live, or is life worth it? Now you release them. Now they'll be removed from you, and it's irreversible, basically. It's like an operation, cosmic operation of the soul. But in the process, as I said, obsessions can increase, addictions can increase, strong desires can escalate, feelings of hatred or feelings of fear and paranoia can escalate, because then you confront yourself with your shadow side, which usually don't show. You don't show it because it's from past lifetimes, but it's dragging there. Somewhere you're dragging it like a tail, and now it comes in front of you and you experience it, you release it, and you're a new person after. So there you go, Aries. I think I covered everything for 2020. What a pivotal year. I want to give you finally a few things. Venus will be in Aries from February the 8th to March the 6th. So that will be a smoother period for Aries. Venus, wherever it goes, it makes things smoother. Fantastic time to do anything for your physical appearance, to buy anything that you find valuable, attractive, to invest in yourself with pleasures, to enjoy more pleasures. Even love can come to some of your Aries around that time, 8th of February to the 6th of March, to go on dates around that time as well. To do anything to do with beautification, pleasures, maybe go on a holiday if you can, because Venus is planet of pleasure. Or if there is anything difficult in your life, it can create an ease around that time. Then Mercury goes in Aries from the 12th of April to the end of April. So basically, the second part from the 12th of April to the end, you're required to be very communicative. Something will happen. There might be short trips happening for you. There might be a lot of activity, a lot of people calling, ringing, a lot of communication, a lot of sense of busyness. And it's good for business. If you're in business, anything to do writing, speaking, communicating, marketing, advertising, media, uh, projects, very busy, very hectic, you're very alert, your mind is more on point and more kind of fast. You can even, your sense of humor, you become witty around that time. If you have to make some presentations where you have to speak, if you have to do some important written or verbal work, or important conversations, I would advise you to do it while Mercury is in your sign. And I don't even have to advise you, they will happen then. And then we have Mars in Aries, which said from July till the end. Okay, we talked about that. This is the new beginnings, the conquest, the fight that you have to put, and to really embody your Aries qualities. You'll never be more Aries in your life than you're the second part of this year. I love you very much, Aries, Sun, Moon, Ascendant. You're the babies of the zodiac. I want to take care of you because I know how how irresponsible sometimes I am, and how I need to be kind of put in the right tracks. So hopefully, this video will help you navigate the year. I love you, and if you want to get the written horoscopes that my teacher has prepared, very concise, month by month, check them out. They're $6.99 only. Fantastic information, way more succinct and more kind of, organized for you month by month. Thank you.